Well, this could go extremely badly or extremely well. This is me testing out a new piece of audio equipment. Everything's fully charged. Welcome to Urban Agoge. What might only be the only one of week 24. To be honest, I think I definitely needed a few weeks out. So apologies for those people that were waiting for another episode. And apologies to Harlequin over in Oz, who sent in essentially 2 videos to be included. And he's in the middle of relocation, but it looks like he'll it sounds very funereal. He's in a better place now, but he will be in a better place, hopefully. I'm seriously hoping that his move goes really well. And thank you to all the new people that have subscribed. It's most appreciated. So yeah. Is there anything to talk about? Yes. Extinction Rebellion is kicking off in London, which can only be a good thing, although I don't know how successful they will be. Here's hoping. You know, there's a lot of people putting their liberty on the line here and, you know, there. And yeah, I'll be interested to see what happens. If you don't know what Extinction Rebellion is, just type in Extinction Rebellion to Google. There are a bunch of people that are willing to go to extreme lengths to secure viability of the planet for future generations, which is a good thing. Wow. Well, we're not going down there. That's well, I don't know if you can see that on camera, but there's like 2 or 3 foot of water in the bottom of that basin. And we're out and about. So I'm testing a slightly different voice recorder today, so I'm really hoping that this goes well. It could be horrible, but let's just see. I've got a bad feeling that the audio quality on this is going to be horrible. If so, I apologise profusely. I won't know till I get back home what the audio quality is like. So it's just me. Let me move that to somewhere more sensible. I'm just moving my microphone. There we go. So yeah, so it has rained torrentially, which has not improved my desire to go schlepping. Let's see if I can move that down. Is that going to make things easier? Yep. So, round the down tree, which is nobody has decided to move. There again, new paths will always be created. It is, after all, a path through the woods. So I'm out here in the mud. It's just stopped raining. I thought I'd take the opportunity to get out and record something. Apologies for this episode. It could all be very, very bad. Whoa. Now, if you didn't think that it has rained torrentially, or you were just saying he's just blaming the weather, I'm pretty sure we're not going down by the river today. Yeah. But, you know, it's lucky there hasn't been any climate change, you know, where we get random and repeated flooding. Now, Christ knows what it's like. Yeah. So, let's do our usual thing and change it to me. And, yeah. So, thanks to everybody that's currently watching. It's appreciated. Normally get about 10 views per channel. We've gone over 2,000 views. And we've got something like 30 odd subscribers now. So it's a nice little community. As always, the best way you can help this community, if you're watching this video, hopefully you're still here, is, you know, just like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification button, all that good stuff. There's also a PayPal tip jar and a Patreon connected to this thing in the links below. And also what I'm going to be doing is changing the defaults for YouTube. So there is an Extinction Rebellion link. And I think if you're going to do anything important, that is probably the most important thing to support or learn about. You know, even if you just listen to some of the things they've got to say, watch some of their videos, understand what sort of trouble we're in. And it does tie neatly in with Urban Agoge. So, yes. And there's someone I bumped into in the woods. So I said, "Are you gay?" in a really terrified way. And I thought, well, you know, it would be fun to say that I am. Just a freak said, closed-minded person out. But no, even though it absolutely doesn't matter if you meet someone in the woods what their sexual orientation are, because do you watch your straight friends have sex? No. So then what two people do that are consenting behind closed doors, you know, as a pair of consenting adults, is their own goddamn business. A view which I was raised with. It does not matter. It's a bit like having a bigotry about skin tone, or, you know, which is just the amount of melanin in your skin, which you can do nothing about. Just like being gay or trans, you know, those are things people can't do anything about. And I suppose, in that vein, I shouldn't be bigoted against stupid people, but unfortunately stupid people kind of do things that fuck up my planet. And they do lazy things that fuck up my planet on an individual level. So yeah. So I've spent a little bit of time being a little bit depressed about the state of the planet. I mean, not so I couldn't function. That's not why I haven't been recording. I haven't been recording because it's been raining torrentially whenever I could get out. And Fridays I have off, so I waited for the rain to stop. And I wanted to test out this new voice recorder, which I bought second hand, because it's the same model as I got this entire same rig for my dad, who is planning to film at protest events. So that's a cool thing to do with your retirement, even though it doesn't stop you getting arrested. I think the oldest person arrested at an Extinction Rebellion event was 92. Imagine being 92. Wouldn't it be lovely to have no criminal record for the entirety of your 92 years, and then you get busted for trying to save the planet? So yeah, those people are superheroes. So I was thinking and dwelling on it and sort of thinking, what do we do? You know, although I broadly support them and I would like to offer my services as a media trained or self-trained media person, whether I can help them out. So yes, it's cool. Yeah, and it's really funny to see what sort of people that we've got, you know, criticising such a movement. It's like, ooh, you're causing lots of disruption, from most of the media pods. This isn't the way to do it. And quite rightly, the Extinction Rebellion people replied, this is the only way to do it, because we've been doing it the way that you want us to do it for the last 60 or so years, and nobody's done a goddamn thing. They've even tried fudging the numbers at Extinction Rebellion by saying, oh, net carbon emissions are down by 40%. And they quite rightly said, that's per capita and the population's grown. So it hasn't gone down by 42%. It's in fact gone up, because the climate scientists are measuring these things and the amount of carbon in the atmosphere and the amount of global warming generally. And the new thing they found out is that very cold water, once you heat it up, takes a very, very long time to cool down again, which is leading to the melting of the Greenland ice shelf at about 8,500 tons of ice per. And yeah, I'm sorry if this is going to freak people out, per second. So every second that you're watching this, 8,500 tons of the Greenland ice shelf, that's the whopping great big island off the coast of the Americas in the north. The one that's, you know, getting on for about 2/3 the size of, you know, the United States and Canada, and is about the size of the United States, no matter what the Americans would like to say. So a whopping great big island, nominally under the control of Denmark, which is really weird because Donald Trump tried to buy it. because there might be oil underneath it. And Denmark said nope. Told them to go fuck themselves. So yeah, so you've got the Extinction Rebellion, and they're trying to tell the truth, and everybody's trying to not tell the truth, which is super interesting. And yeah, I'm actually going to turn around and go back. So I want to go down and see where the beach is, if it's still there, because of that, all that flood stuff. So yeah, so Greenland is melting, and if all the ice on Greenland melts, which is looking like it's going to happen, these sea levels on planet Earth rise by, and again, you might want to sit down, have a long slug of something like coffee or something like that, and spark yourself up, your preferred smoking materials. So the water levels will rise by 20 feet. So they reckon it will be melted within a couple of years, which, although it doesn't, that in itself doesn't destroy the livelihoods of too many people, although there are people living on Greenland and they are screwed, because it will just be one giant ball of mud after all that permafrost melts, which it will. Because, you know, you nudge something above freezing and then ice melts. That's just simple physics. You learn that in the very first physics lesson. So right, so that's all happening and shit's going sideways. Sorry about the camera angle, I haven't been doing this every day for a bit, and I haven't quite got the hang of keeping an eye on the selfie mirror. And yes, hello Mrs. George, yes, there's a long boom pole attached to an action camera gimbal that allows me to walk around in the woods and look like somebody else is filming me, because they're being more careful about where they move, but it is in fact an electronic device that stabilizes my camera. So yeah, so yes, you could run away and join Extinction Rebellion, which would be a laudable thing. I'm thinking of sending them a regular donation of money, as much as I can afford, or possibly putting all my Patreon money into it. I haven't decided yet, so I'll keep you posted as to that. So yeah, my Patreon money might be going to Extinction Rebellion for the foreseeable, which is, you know, maybe I'll round it up to 30 quid a month, and yeah, I'll throw in some cash to that as well, because they could use the help, and they're doing the thing. They're actually doing the thing that, you know, I've been talking about for a long time, how protesters never really get anything done. Being at a protest doesn't achieve anything. But if you're prepared to be arrested and make as much fuss as possible and cause as much disruption as you possibly can as a single human being, and you're happy to give up your liberty in order to do that, you get shit done. So pretty much every day this week, virtually every major news corporation will be interviewing people from Extinction Rebellion, which is, you know, even you're getting comments out of the Prime Minister's office, to which, yeah, you know, our beleaguered Prime Minister, Boris Johnson, I can't believe that person. I know how Americans feel now, and I know how Australians feel now when they sort of talk about their leader, the person that leads them being basically a consummate embarrassment of a human being. You know, literally, you can't believe that this person represents you at the UN or on the world stage. It's fucking amazing. How have 3 countries, you know, I mean, people are trying to bring down Trudeau, you know, and he's like a reasonable human being. You know, fair enough, there are some photos of him doing blackface, but if you look back in my YouTube history, I've said some stupid shit. Does that undermine everything I do? Fuck, look at this. This is completely messed up. This should not be like this. If you remember the earlier editions of Urban Agoge, where I walked along here, and there's a missing beach. It's gone. Yeah, this is normal. It's kind of like, I'm not even sure I'd be in too good a condition if I decided to wade across this. This is like powerful water moving extremely quickly. I would say that's moving at about 15 to 20 miles an hour. It's just going. And this is a stream, you know. What a tidal water's looking like, you know, because we're quite near the hills where this whole River Medlock starts. But it is messed up. So yeah, so I'm hoping the audio recording's going well on this. But, so yeah, so there's that, you know, and people have been trying to sort of like pull them down for really, you know, tiny reasons. I mean, you think about all the people that are inconvenienced by the government on a daily basis, all the people that are inconvenienced by the police, all the people that get inconvenienced by all sorts of other things. And yeah, so some wealthy people couldn't get to work today in London, and the Extinction Rebellion have promised them that for the next 2 weeks that they're going to find it tricky to get to work. So yes, the tactics are impressive. They are using the right tactics. They're using proper Viet Cong tactics, you know, disperse, regroup, re-emplacement, have fallback plans, blend in with the crowd, disappear, reappear. You know, do things that are just about within the law, and then the police have to come up with all sorts of new shit to arrest you with. Just like the military police tried in India in the 1950s when Gandhi was pushing for independence. So yeah, and Gandhi got independence a couple of years later. Martin Luther King got an Equal Rights Act a couple of years later. So that's, you're not doing it the right way. Well, you know, quite frankly, fuck the right way. The right way was organised by the powers that be and determined to not cause any disruption. Well, I'm sorry, planet doomed, fuck off. And I'm sorry about my bad language, and you know, and there are some people that are going to be very put off by that, but these are extreme circumstances. You know, the planet is in danger. Within 10 years, if we were to do nothing, the death toll will be in the billions. The greatest human catastrophe of all time, including the actions of Genghis Khan, including the actions of Vlad the Impaler, including the actions of Stalin, Hitler, Wilhelm of Belgium. Was it Wilhelm? You know, the Belgian Congo thing, the Rwandan massacres, all the things that we're supposed to deeply, deeply care about, but it will look like nothing compared to the deaths caused by rampant crony capitalism. So yes, puts Brexit into perspective, puts the philanderings of Donald Trump into perspective, you know, and the philanderings of Boris Johnson actually into perspective. You know, all these people making money in the same old way, only unfortunately the scale of the economy is much, much greater, and we will all be dead in 15 years if we don't shift our asses. And that's not, you know, that's not idle rhetoric. You know, this is the greatest level of murdering that's ever going to be done by humans to humans. You know, and as a side effect, we'll also wipe out all the other fairly innocent animal species that are on this planet that could evolve into something a bit more intelligent than us. So yeah, you know, we could be the reverse of the Starship Troopers thing. You know, in Starship Troopers when they're at war with the bugs, you know, going back to the film thing, what if the original inhabitants of Klendathu, the bug home planet in that movie and that book, were mammals, or specifically primates? What if they were just like us and they fucked it all up, and then the next species to take over were organised hive mind entities? You know, and that's the reason there are bugs rampaging across the galaxy when the humans bump into them. So yes, as you can gather, I sort of support Extinction Rebellion. I bumped into some of them when I was at Byline, and I will be going to the next meeting I can possibly make it to. There is an Extinction Rebellion group in Manchester. Yes, get along there. Don't really want to be arrested, got other stuff to do, but I'm sure they could use a hand. So yeah, I may even just go, right, fuck it, it's time to be arrested. But I am definitely believing that these are the only people. Oh, one of the other things that they use to try and bring down the concept of Extinction Rebellion and remove it and try and sideline it. Oh, they all seem to be very middle class. Well, yeah, so what? If you want to change the diversity in Extinction Rebellion, join. There you go, pretty fucking simple. Oh, you could join up with the Greens. Nope, fuck off, they haven't done anything. You could join up with Greenpeace. Nope, fuck off, they've achieved nothing. You could join CND. Again, no. You know, fair enough. They have learned a valuable lesson. The Green Party, the Green Party, CND, all that lot learned a valuable lesson. You know, they learned a valuable lesson that protesting in a way that suits everybody achieves precisely nothing. And now you've got a bunch of people going, time's short, got to do some extreme stuff. Got to get some changes made. Despite the fact the UK government announced the climate emergency, they have done nothing. They haven't even told the truth. haven't even just gone on the television and gone, hello people, it's all buggered. You know. So yeah, rant. So yeah, what do we do about this as individuals? If you don't feel like supergluing yourself to a hearse or something else, or a policeman, that'd be funny. Although that would count as assault. They're all extremely non-violent, which is really totally working out, because they learned that lesson from Gandhi and the civil rights marches, and those things actually change stuff. This is the new form of protest. This is the new thing that we've got to fight for. We've done slavery, we've done votes for women, we've done a certain amount of equality. It's still not there yet, but that equality exists in the minds of people, not in any legal sense. So we're growing out of that. Hopefully the new generations do not have racist parents who are going to teach them all kinds of stupid bullshit. Racism is bullshit. If you hate someone for something they cannot change, and it's just who they are rather than something they've done, then you are looking in the wrong place for people to hate. There's plenty of people to hate in the world for good fucking reason. So, what do? So yeah, I was thinking about this as I was looking around at my co-workers, and some of them are smart people, some of them are decent human beings, and some of them are just kind of unevolved and not awake. So do we have time to wake them up? Is it our job to wake them? Well, if they can be woken up and appraise of the situation and become a better person as a result, then yeah, good, groovy. But do we make contingency plans? You know, the Extinction Rebellion was talking about, you know, placeholder civilizations where we, you know, just start making libraries. That's not Sean Kennedy type stuff at all. So yeah, so I was thinking about a concept that I'm going to call Project Morlock. So Project Morlock is just a concept of a project now, but if you've ever read or seen the movie The Time Machine, the best one is probably the 1960s version, so go check that out on YouTube. It's probably there. If there is, I'll put a link there next to the Extinction Rebellion link. And Project Morlock is kind of all about, is that doing it? Yeah. Just thought I'd double check. This is going to be probably horrifically horrible sound quality, for which I apologise. So Project Morlock is where, like the Morlocks in the Time Machines, where we just go underground with all the information, all the technology, and make sure that the scientific discoveries and the literature and the poetry and the art and all that sort of shit is at least preserved in part. So yeah. So I'm recommending USB sticks. So you can download a file that you could theoretically read from Wikipedia that's about 9 gigabytes, which is, you know, nothing. If you know someone with a fast internet connection, that will download in a couple of hours. Amazingly, Wikipedia, one of the largest online encyclopedias. If you can then add as many ebooks, you know, maybe as many video files, you know, useful lectures or you know, anything sort of useful, not, and maybe even history, you know, an understanding of how we got here and stuff like that, whatever you find. But you know, if you just make sure that you include at least Wikipedia and any other sort of major reference books like a dictionary, dictionary of quotes, a who's who, Pear's cyclopedias, if you can find them in digital form, that would be great. You know, all the things, copies of ebooks like the Self-Sufficiency Handbook, or it was called the Self-Sufficiency Bible at one point. You could get all that onto a USB stick and just keep it to one side, preferably in some kind of metal tin. You know, put it in a plastic bag, put it in a metal tin, you know, an Altoids tin or something like that, and when you've filled it up, just keep going. It would be useful backup for you, so it's not wasted. It would be a useful way to use up small USB thumb drives, you know, because you've probably got a few 32 gig ones or 8 gig ones or 16 gig ones knocking around that you're not going to use anymore for anything, and just fill those up with resources and books, and yeah, make a note of where they are, put them somewhere obvious, put them on your mantelpiece, you know, just in a little metal box or a little plastic box on the mantelpiece. Metal box is better because if there is any kind of EMP weapon used in your vicinity, then that data will be preserved. You know, maybe at some point we can do things like, once you've got an old smartphone with USB on the go that can be easily charged, maybe you could put that in a little metal box with it, so you've got some means of reading it or looking into it. You know, if you've got an old laptop and you've got a big old biscuit tin that it'll fit in, or even even one of those really stupid netbooks, you know, if you've got one of those, you know, with its power supply and stuff like that, so future generations might be able to discover it and get a wealth of information and knowledge. Medical textbooks, chemistry textbooks, physics textbooks, you know, anything up to the minute that will mean that people can recreate a certain amount of industry, specifically homesteading, provision of electricity, stuff like that. Put it all on a USB stick in a metal box on your mantelpiece and you are Project Morlock. And then, you know, improve your skills. Ideally, you will survive, you know, the coming crap that's coming down the line to us. You know, maybe you'll be one of the people. So, you know, get educated, get competent, be able to light a fire, be able to perform sutures, understand a bit about treating illnesses, look up homeopathic, well, not homeopathic, but look up household remedies for things, look up the purification of water, generation of electricity, look up all that shit, you know, and become a useful human being. You know, you might survive, you know, if it all goes to shit. It might not, you know, but it's looking increasingly likely. There are a lot of Eloi, a lot of people that are just going to go, well, I was delayed in getting to work because Extinction Rebellion blocked the roads and protested about the environment being destroyed inside 10 years, and I don't like it. Because I see, and you can see it in people, just a general lack of a concept of working together as a species. You know, where people just do a lazy thing, like throw something on, you know, the sort of person that will idly throw litter down, you know, when they're walking around. You know, those people have no concept of teamwork, no concept of looking out for their fellow human beings, and those people, like, watch any zombie film, those people will get you killed every last goddamn time. And I see them everywhere. People are wonderfully separated from reality. So yeah, Project Morlock. Go and watch The Time Machine. Go and look at the Eloi. Books? What are books? Yeah, exactly. Even George C. Scott's super sympathetic character that's trying to look after the Eloi loses his rag with people for destroying all the books. So we got to preserve all the books and become relatively useful. So even if you just do a backup of all the ebooks in your collection, all the reference books, put it on a USB stick, put it in a metal box. Hopefully in, you know, if you've got some money, you can get these neat little Faraday cages, little metal mesh pouches that are designed for cell phones that will take a whole bunch of those USB sticks. So yeah, do that. Project Morlock is a go. And as always, thanks for watching and do take care.
Good morning everyone. It is Sunday. I want to say it's week 22. Could be wrong. Might be a different week. Been walking a few times. Made a few videos. Haven't put anything up yet. Put this one up a bit longer, maybe. Hopefully. The whole not having a computer set up in the house or in the shed is not helping me get productivity-wise done anything. As things get moved around too often. That's alright though. We'll get somewhere. So yesterday, I think the interesting thing was today I saw an echidna. I'll take the footage on the end. Just walking up the path to come up here, and there was Mr. Echidna or Mrs. Echidna. I don't know how to tell the difference between echidnas. I know they have rearward facing pouches. I know they are distinctive to Australia. Yes, they're like a spiny anteater. Everyone doesn't know. And They're one of those weird creatures that only exist in Australia. Yeah. What else? Yesterday I saw a wallaby. I didn't get any pictures of it because it wasn't fast enough with my phone, and they're too fast. But, I think it was a female. Yeah, she just sat still for a minute, looked at me, jumped off because the dog moved. Dog's very well trained, so she doesn't go things unless you can tell she's allowed to. And most of the time she sits down in that classic border collie pose and just waits for you to tell her what to do. When it comes to, I don't know what this is, or am I allowed to play with this thing? But yeah, so it hopped off. I'm guessing it come off the grass and gone over somewhere and had gone down to that. That was interesting. Lots of birds around. So one of the videos I made, which I didn't upload, was talking about an article that came out in the Science Journal last week. Might have been early this week. You'll have to go and look it up. It talks about bird ecology and the change in bird ecology and how human effectors are destroying bird habitat. That's an interesting read. It based the research in America, both North America and South America, or Central America, and basically came up with the figure of 29% of bird decline in population densities. Let's try and do it again. 29% of bird populations had decreased since 1970s. And I referenced a book called Silent Spring, which there is an audio version of on YouTube. If you go and look up Silent Spring, a female doctor, I can't remember her name off the top of my head, which talks about the usage of DDT in agriculture and how that was eventually banned because of all this research that was done. Oh, don't walk into that. Because of how all this research was done into the effects of DDT. So, along similar veins, you know, I'm sure I don't have to mention the words Roundup to people. Come here. Come here. Along similar lines, you know, Roundup uses a broadleaf weeding device on most farms, but it just eradicates soil fertility, which means that insects don't grow. And if insects don't grow, then birds don't thrive. That was an interesting one. So yeah, dwell upon that what you will. See what you can change to help that out. Yeah. The other thing I don't think I've uploaded a video for was last week I went to, last Sunday, yeah, so a week ago today, Matilda's dance recital was on. Very proud of her for her third successful ballet recital. I remember being that age, only just. I remember being scared witless by doing something outside my comfort zone. But, you know, the kids just get on and do it. And they maybe don't realise how much of a big deal it is to their parents. Anyway, it was. So when you're watching this in the future, Tilda, I was very proud of you. You were on point with your timings, and you looked really, really good. And you danced really, really well. So that was really wonderful. After dance recital, I went in and saw the worldwide premiere, which was a few days later than everywhere else, I think. You know, it takes time to send the tape somewhere. In history, of The Game Changers, which was a really interesting movie. It was interesting to see the differences in language used between the word vegan and the words plant-based diet. So there were a lot of sports people talking about talking in reference to a plant-based diet, or the overture being a plant-based diet being good for health and being good for nutritional value and all the rest of it. And it, you know, that was interesting. But it's interesting to reference that all of these people if you go and look at any of these reference people, they will all talk about being vegan, a vegan athlete. It was an interesting change of the word which we had a comment about. We had chat about quickly in Discord during the week. It was that difference between the word, what's the word? Social justice and equality. So social justice is something which is misdemeanored in the modern world because of, you know, whatever reason. But equality is a word that isn't misdemeanored as much. You know, vegan is a word that has certain connotations. Plant-based diet has, you know, I'm on a diet and I eat plants, you know, but I don't want to talk about the politics or the, you know, or the this or the that or anything else. Yeah. Lots more research in plant-based. I've been watching lots more research in plant-based diets, and that's been interesting. And I think the biggest myth that was dispelled throughout the film was the breakdown of protein required. The breakdown of protein required, and also B12. Do those separately. So breakdown of protein required. Basically, if you eat a form of carbohydrate or starch, and you eat a form of leguminous vegetable, and you eat some vegetables, as in you have those three things, and then you have some like salady stuff, you have basically met your requirement for protein, and long chain carbohydrates, and all your nutritional needs. You know, so for breakfast that might be, you know, porridge oats made with soy milk, made with, you know, some berries, made with some nuts, and that will cover you for, you know, that meal in terms of complex carbohydrates, so the thing your body actually uses, the protein, which, you know, breaks down into smaller proteins, which our body breaks down into smaller proteins and turns into long chain amino acids that our body needs, which is an interesting process. I wish I knew more about human biology. I wish I hadn't been so crap at remembering the names of things in biology. Anyway, and then, you know, there's a certain amount of healthy fats. I'm not going to drop my phone going down this stupid hill. One day I got to get headgear and do this with headgear on, because that's silly, that bit. Not as bad now, it's not raining and muddy, but it's still wet and muddy down the bottom here where the spring comes out the hill. Yeah, and then lots of fibre, which your body absolutely desperately craves. And then coming. This is where I saw the kangaroo. It was just there. Kangaroo was just there and it tripped that way. Might have been a wallaby. I think it was a wallaby. I think it was kangaroo. Yeah, and you can do the same thing, lunch and dinner, etc., etc. Lots of interesting research. B12, that was the other one. So B12 deficiency, which happens to people, supposedly happens to people. I don't think I've ever heard of anyone who's actually B12 deficient. Anyway, doctors talk about B12 deficiency. So modern medicine talks about B12 deficiency. There are a lot of ants about for some reason. They must be moving house. Or going somewhere. Or something's dead. And they're all walking up to wherever it is they're going to. B12 deficiency. B12 deficiency happens because the B12 that we're supposed to eat is supposed to come from soil and water. Yeah? So that's where the B12 is actually supposed to be. Like, you know, you dig up a yam or whatever, you dig up a potato, you eat the root vegetable or whatever plant, and there should be dirt on it. And that dirt will contain in healthy soil trace amounts of B12. So your body therefore uses that B12 to digest things. Same in creek water, like, you know, if you took water out of a stream, there'd be B12 in it, there'd be a lot more nutrients in water. In solving the solution of, excuse me while I whistle the dog. Come here! You went the wrong way. In solving the solution of how the hell do we sterilise water in cities so that people aren't dying of typhus and dysentery and all these other, cholera and all these other disgusting diseases, from packing human beings on like sardines. Yeah, how do we solve that problem? We basically scrubbed out all the B12 out of dietary conditions, you know, and destroyed that thing that we're required to have. And then someone worked out that there was trace elements available in meat and said, oh, well, that's the solution, you know, that's obviously the reason why we're supposed to eat meat. Well, it's not. Yeah, lots of interesting stuff. Lots of interesting research about So Paleolithic man, and how completely wrong the pre-science, or the early science was, in terms of talking about the lack of fossilized records of people eating, fruits and vegetables and grains and tubers and all that sort of stuff. And they worked out a test. I think it's strontium. Be sure it's strontium. It's a bone density test, so it's how much is left in the bone type thing. And it talks about how much. So strontium levels and other organic compounds contain certain amounts of. Your bones end up containing like large quantities of whatever you've eaten, a bit like fat reserves. So what they did was they took a whole bunch of samples from ancient people's bones, all the way through from the Paleolithic era, all the way through to, the Roman times, more modern times, and they measured, what the hell people were actually eating, rather than just looking at the fossil record and saying, oh, there's no history of anyone eating food here. Not food, anyone eating like vegetables here. So that was interesting. The point case proven, basically, Paleolithic man was like 90% vegetarian and 10% not vegetarian, or plant-based diet. So not even the things that you could access that were easy were, obviously. In Australia, you can access certain levels of meat off of the landscape, and then you can also obviously access certain amounts of seafood when you're on the shore. But that was not the majority of someone's diet. The majority of someone's diet was, this 90% upwards of plant-based foods, which I thought was fascinating. It was fascinating. That they've taken a bit of very cool science and jiggered it around to actually work out what someone had eaten, back in the day. There's some gang cockatoos, 5 of them. Lovely birds. They're very different from normal cockatoos. They make a completely different sound. They actually sound like having a conversation. Normal cockatoos they just sound a bit. Normal galahs. So galahs are a cockatoo. But yeah, they're all a bit squeaky and noisy. The gangs sound really, really good. Sound really, really different. Now I've got some wattle on me. This is the wattle end of our land. You can stick it in a bottle. You can hold it in your hand. Amen. Yeah. There we go. If you get a chance, go watch Game Changers. It's really, really interesting. Yeah. It really does. I think it was really positive. I think it was very positively done. It was an interesting bit of, all the science behind it, all the research behind it was obviously stood up. It was signed off by the US DoD, which amazed me. So the military signed off on the dietary advice given, and that was a fucking huge step. Pardon my French. That was a huge step. In that, I think it's the first time. Might not be. I think it's the first time it's been recognised that by such an organisation. For the US Department of Defence, that's the branches of the military to turn around and say that actually, plant-based diet is completely safe and you will, strive on it. That's a pretty cool piece of bit of work by someone. Yeah, I don't know. Right, I don't know what else I've got to say. That was all a bit more positive than me being down. Yeah, if you want more researchers, if you want more resources in terms of cooking and how to cook, both like completely budget student meals, which I know is probably not, it's an English term. Student meals is an English term. Don't many students who actually eat student meals, but anyway, then yeah, give us a comment and I'll make some up. I spent a long time not eating an awful lot of meat, even when I did eat meat. And weirdly enough, working on farms puts me off, and working in kitchens puts me off completely. Let alone all the evidence to suggest otherwise. you know, if you are overweight and you wish to lose weight, you know, I can't think of the name of the study, and I should probably know it off the top of my head, but don't. There was a study done that basically said you could unrestrictedly eat whole food plant-based diet. You could eat as much as you wanted to, and you would still lose. You would still get into a healthy BMI range. That was a fascinating bit of research as well. That wasn't in the film; it was just one I knew about. But yeah, so if you were overweight, then have a look into it. You know, if you're striving for athletic performance, then have a look into it. Let's see if I get the shot right. I can get the shot right. The shot's crap today because the sun's in the right spot. That's the gorge. Do it that way instead. See, I don't have one of those spinny gyroscope things. I've got me instead. Yeah, cool. Alright then, well, have a nice day. Get your Bergen on and go for a Bergen. More about that when we get set up. When I get half a day on my own. Record something. What have you found? Some water or something more interesting? He's going up there. Fair enough. Yeah, have a good day. Enjoy yourselves. Yeah, still no movements on the movements. But we'll go from there when we get there. Have a good one. Ta-ra. We'll leave him be. Hello, we're in my car. We don't often come in my car. Excuse me for eating my very late lunch. Went for a walk this morning, didn't have anything important to say, had stuff to do, had to get home and do stuff. Matilda's third ballet recital today. Very proud of her. Excuse me eating, I'm hungry. Excuse hair. Just went and saw Game Changers. Really interesting. Lots of stuff I already knew, lots of stuff I didn't know. Yeah, and well worth checking out. I hope it comes out on some other medium. I mean, I went and saw it at the cinema. Well worth going and checking out, like, you know, even if it's just going on the opening night, whatever. I think it's open for a few more sessions depending on where you are in the world. It's only open here one day, so I had to took it off work, and I had Matilda's thing. So I shot it after Matilda's thing and went to the cinema. Yeah, really interesting. Lots of really cool. It was obviously very well put together, and the guy that sort of like goes around and like does the interviews and whatever else, who's an MMA fighter. It's really interesting, sort of his portrayal and what he's, you know, doing, and just the portrayal that you get, that, you know, you get that sense that eating a plant-based diet is not normal for the majority of people, and yet it is literally the only thing that you can do as an individual. Not the only thing, it is the most effective thing, or one of the most effective things you can do as an individual to change yourself, so to alter what you eat. Does one of two things. It fundamentally reduces your ecological demands on the world, which is an amazing benefit for the universe and for our planet. And secondly, it is likely to then therefore not, if you live in the Western world and you eat meat, you're likely to die of two of things. One of two things. You're either chronic heart failure or chronic heart disease, or pancreatic cancer, prostate cancer as a male, so cancer as a male. The third most effective thing at killing men is, funnily enough, suicide, or industrial accidents. Suicide and industrial accidents. So the two of those things you can solve catastrophically overnight just by taking a plant-based diet. I really like the usage of the word plant-based diet as well. I thought it was really effective, rather than the big V word, which everyone seems to be very scared of. I don't know why they are. I think the plant-based diet thing really worked. Anyway, yeah, if you get the chance to go and see it, or if it comes out, or you can download it or whatever else, then go and watch it. My burrito is vegan. It has beans and rice in it, which has all the amino acids you need. It's one of the most pissant bits of, like, that was disproven in the 1970s, and it still persists as a thought today, that you cannot get all the essential amino acids from plant-based sources. They think that you have to eat meat, otherwise you can't get one of the, I think it's 8 things that you can't get, or as 8 total amino acids, and the fact that your body can't make them into other things. What the hell do you think the world is made of? Anyway, I digress. Go and watch the Game Chasers. It's well worth watching if you get a chance, if you can do things. There's lots of really interesting little bits they do. They went and talked to the fireys in the fire department in New York, program they were doing. Lots to talk about things like MMA fighters, and also about various other like real high performance athletes and what they're doing. The stuff with I've got a mispronounce his second name, the strength athlete Patrick Boumier, or Boumillon, I think his name is. Just fascinating guy, and like flipping bloody strong. There's a great video going around of someone, I can't think which, I think it's Mick the Vegan. I'll have to go and link it. Breaking down the Joe Rogan interview, talking about Joe Rogan did an interview where he's talking to a strength athlete, talking about this Patrick bloke, and there's a great breakdown of what it does. It's really interesting. So anyway, go have a walk around or go for a run, and enjoy yourself, and I will see you all in the future. Bye. Good morning. It is, I can't even think what week it is. Don't know. Check the video. Zach is so much better at this than I am. I can never remember the bloody days. I know it's Thursday. Does that help? I know it's Thursday because I have to go to work. I have to do a full day at work. So, because I have to do a full day at work, I have got up out of bed a lot earlier than normal. I didn't actually get out of bed a lot earlier, I just woke up a lot earlier. So that went well. I foregoed the normal sitting on the couch drinking coffee and have decided to go for a walk instead, which is much better with dog and with backpack. So backpack has come for a walk today. More on backpack later in the future. It's a nice day in Yackandandah for very early. It's about 7:30 now. I set off at about 10 past, maybe 7:05, came for a walk. The magpies are doing magpie things above me, very coolly, and there is a lot of bird song about. I hope you can hear that, because that's actually the noise of a kookaburra, and that's actually a kingfisher, which is quite entertaining. I don't get to film them, but there are kingfishers around. A kookaburra is just a really weird Australian version of it. They eat snakes. But yeah, a beautiful day outside. There wasn't, I'm sorry for the no video yesterday. It was actually a video of yesterday. I went and took Matilda out, and we went and had lunch out in the bush, just on the side. We drove up to the state forest and we had lunch on the side of the road. And then we went for a walk, and we went down there. We parked up, I came back, parked, and then we actually just walked down the gorge and came back in on the shortest path, which is an epic effort for her. And something she's getting more and more used to doing. She's going for a walk with me occasionally, which means that my walks don't get as long, but her walks get drastically longer. I've got bed hair. It's a very weird thing to have in the morning. Very much bed hair. Rambi Imon in the Discord channel posted a video which is really interesting, by a guy called Robert McNamee, which was done on, he was one of the advisors of Facebook back in the day, about 10 years ago, and was supposedly very close to Zuckerberg, and then distanced himself, and then he's come to sort of back to the forefront, talking about, this article was talking about the correlation between how these businesses are basically ungoverned in the modern Western sense. It's only the Western sense, not governed. Where are you going? Don't go. Ungovernable. Well, not ungovernable. They are ungoverned. They're not ungovernable. It's not like there's a rule saying you can't do that. It's just we refuse to do it. Anyway, the video is about half an hour long. It's well worth a watch. Just search up Channel 4 and Robert McNamee. It was last night on TV, I think, or maybe the night before on TV, and they've uploaded onto YouTube. And it was talking about the undue influence that corporations like Microsoft, like Google, like Facebook, etc., like Amazon have in terms of in terms of the data that they take from you, in that they take data from you, and then the sale of that data to other corporations, and the use of that data in things that maybe or perhaps we would not recognize it or want it to be used for. So it was really, really interesting. Yeah, a fascinating look at what they were doing, a real sort of like down to earth sort of like approach about how and what they're doing and why that's wrong and how we should prevent it. And the solution was really simple. It was, you know, you have to force these things to change by stop using them if you can. A Facebook is a great example. People don't need Facebook anymore. People don't need social media as such. I know that I'm using a form of social media to communicate with you, but it's not. I like to think it's in a very different vein. So that's interesting. But also the idea of representation through Congress or through Parliament, and just what that means, and purely the uptake in saying, well, if you're not on the voting register, you should be on the voting register, and what you should do about it. Yeah, and that was very interesting. So go and watch that. It's a real poignant thing. Yeah. From that, go and find your rucksack or your Bergen, as I like to think of it, and we will go Bergening now with a black and white dog of mayhem. Yeah, have fun. Don't any wait today. Just go for a Bergen with your Bergen, and we will work on that from now on. Have fun. Enjoy the day. I hope it's nice and sunny where you are, or I hope it's raining and nice where you are, wherever you need to be. Yeah, enjoy yourself, and I'll talk to you all soon. Bye.